The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, April 13th, 2022, season 18, episode number 4. Welcome.
Where would
to
we
latest.
be without that? Oh, my
Can't
God.
miss that year. There's no way we're going to miss that year. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Got Nick, Dave, and Amber here with me. We got a full crew. It's been now a few weeks now we've been rolling with a full crew, so this is good. Let's keep this going. Although I won't be able to be here next week.
Okay. Yeah, it's up to you, Derek.
I was about to say.
Next week I got something I got to do. So I won't be here next week. I assume one of you guys will host and keep this thing rolling heading into the draft. So, but I'll be back for the week of the draft, so that'll be good.
Cool. Glad to hear it.
Really, Nick? Is that where we're going to go? Is that how we're going to treat each other?
I just meant, yay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, because the week of the draft, I mean, it's going to be like
Dave
the
show.
draft show.
It's
Yeah.
going to be the Dave show. Dave, tell us about this guy.
That's
tell
what
us
we
about
want.
that guy.
Sure.
All right, good. Here's what we're going to do. We started a little bit of not a little bit. We started a conversation last week about the draft and what the Cowboys have done over the last 5 years. We thought we would get through several rounds. These guys only got through one. And so that leaves us with a total of 6 other rounds that we can talk about today. And we're going to jump into the second round right off the bat. We talked a little bit about Kelvin Joseph last time, and we talked about kind of where his expectations are, where his ceiling is. But I want to move to the other cornerback, the cornerback that had the phenomenal season this year. And my question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on Trayvon Diggs? I know that's a big question, but I think there are these different schools of thought. Some people focus on the fact that he's got all these interceptions. Some people want to focus on the fact that they think he gives up too many yards. Or there's this a really big range of opinions out there with regards to what Trayvon Diggs is and how good he is as a cornerback. What do you think?
My honest, genuine opinion is that the only reason that this is even a conversation is because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, I've never in my life can remember a conversation like this where a guy that was named first team All-Pro is being like hotly debated about whether or not he's good at his job. It's unbelievable to me. And it's a valid criticism. He's a gambling type of cornerback. He certainly was beaten on plenty of occasions. He was still one of the best 4 or 5 cornerbacks in the league last year. The numbers speak for themselves. And on top of that, it's ironic because they got rid of the guy that didn't give up yards but didn't make plays because that wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. Like, they got rid of Byron Jones for this very reason, and they got exactly what they said they wanted, which is a guy that makes plays. When you play with aggression like that, when you gamble like that, you're going to give up some plays. Trayvon Diggs did not give up plays nearly often enough that people are like, he's a liability. Okay, whatever. He led the league in picks. Shut up. If he played for the if he played for the Indianapolis Colts, I would be reading think pieces about why are we not talking about the best corner in the league, Trayvon. Kind of like Xavier Howard in Miami. People are like, if you're a real football fan, you know who Xavier Howard is, and only casuals don't realize that he's the best. And then Trayvon Diggs has an 11-pick season, and people are like, is he good? It's ridiculous, and it's one of those things. The Cowboys are the most polarizing team in the NFL, and it is what it is. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Yeah, Dave talked for 3 minutes. You should have talked for 3 seconds.
Sorry.
This is dumb. It's dumb. He's an outstanding football player. And the only people that don't say that are trying to justify the publication that they work for to look like we dig deeper into the numbers and all that. That's bull. Yeah. It's ridiculous. He has 11 interceptions last year. He scored 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he gave up 2. He gave up maybe 2 or 3. That's a great ratio. That's exactly what you want from a corner.
I absolutely love him. I love the guy. Love his son too, the cutest. But he's someone that you guys know that I'm super critical, and I criticize a lot of people here on the show.
No, really?
It's because of the show and the job. I mean, that's what it is. Whatever.
That's
But
what you're supposed to do, right?
yeah. But no, my point is, I'm not going to criticize someone that has done things that I haven't seen happen in the cornerback position for the Dallas Cowboys in a really long time, at least not since the time I've been here. I'm not going to criticize someone that has made the secondary of the Dallas Cowboys be exciting and be something that you look forward to in a game. So I take those criticism, put it to the side. I'm happy he's here. I'm glad to see what he's done. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. And I think he's a player that hasn't necessarily reached the ceiling. I think he can keep improving in those areas that people are criticizing. I'm not saying he's always going to have that amount of interceptions and every year or even get more, but he can definitely keep improving in the areas that he's being criticized for.
You look at the second-round picks that the Dallas Cowboys have made over the last 5 years: Kelvin Joseph, Trayvon Diggs, Tristan Hill, Connor Williams, and Cheeto Awuzie. And I want to talk a little about Cheeto because going on that same thing of cornerbacks, do you guys think that maybe there is this unrealistic expectation from fans, maybe from media, of what a good cornerback is? Because you look at guys like, the conversation came up with Byron Jones. Like, is that really a good cornerback? He didn't give up a lot, but he wasn't getting you interceptions. Cheeto Bay, I mean, people wanted to say he's not that good. Now, you can question how much money he was given, but he had a good year last year. Do you think, and then obviously Trayvon Diggs, but do you think there's an unrealistic expectation that either you have to be Deion Sanders or you suck at cornerback?
There always has been, at least since the league started changing over this last decade. Outside of being a great quarterback, it's the hardest job in the NFL, in my opinion. I mean, you can't win. You cannot win. Receivers, we keep talking about how 5 and 6 freak receivers come into the league every year. Kids are playing 7-on-7 from the age of 8. The rules basically dictate that the game is going to be pass happy, and you have to be good enough to, if you give up 60% completions, you're probably pretty good. Like, the deck is stacked against cornerbacks. It's always been unfair. Cheeto was fine while he was here. He wasn't amazing, but he was a solid player. Anthony Brown is a solid player. I mean, we spend so much time talking about him because people think he's a bum when he's really not. And it was the same thing with Cheeto, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, good enough to get $9 million a year. I mean, Cheeto to me reminds me of Anthony Hitchens of like, yeah, I mean, it's okay, and we can't afford to pay you. We probably wouldn't mind keeping you, but you're going to get that kind of money. Go ahead. And then he went and went to a team that ended up doing well and playing in the playoffs. If Cincinnati didn't make the playoffs, I don't think anyone would have been talking a lot about Cheeto. A lot of the fans wouldn't have seen him a lot.
And it's Hitchens is a fantastic point because people see, and I'm thrilled for Cheeto. I'm glad he got his contract. I'm glad he wound up on a good team, got to make that run, had a good season. But people see Cheeto in the Super Bowl, and it's like, well, we screwed that up. It's like, no, you didn't. Right. You didn't. Anthony Hitchens going to the Chiefs, he didn't put the Chiefs over the top. With all due respect to him, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but like, he went to the team that had Mahomes and all these other, he was a nice piece on a Super Bowl team. It's not like Anthony Hitchens carried them across the finish line and it's like, oh, we made a mistake by not giving Anthony Hitchens $60 million. No. And I don't think they made a mistake by not giving Cheeto $23 million.
Yeah, and I don't think they did either. I do think, though, that Cheeto had a bad rap here. I think that fans probably thought of him as much lesser of a player than I think he really is. You guys agree with that?
Well, there was a good while when he was dealing with a hamstring injury and he was out, and then there were questions around that too. Is he really all that hurt, or is he, really trying to get recovery and get back on the field? I think there were rumors on that around here. But going back to your question too, I think it's a combination of both, where you have to, yes, on one end you have higher expectations sometimes, but it's like, how do you combine everything? Because you're not going to get everything. It's like, if you see Anthony Brown combined with Cheeto Awuzie, you're like, okay, that's not necessarily the best combination there, but you're going to need a guy like Anthony Brown on the team, paired with someone maybe like Trayvon Diggs. So, and yes, Cheeto was with Byron Jones at a time, but again, I can't even remember how long he was hurt for, but expectations went up when he had that run. What was it that he ran like a cheetah, I guess.
Like 25 seconds.
Yeah, he ran like 25 miles an
25
hour.
miles an hour.
That it was crazy, but
it
I
was
think that
against the
after
Dolphins.
seeing something like that, your expectations go even a lot higher, and you're like, okay, well, this guy is very talented. Not talented. What's the word? Athletic, and he can maybe be this type of player. But then injuries happen, and then he just never. We never really got to see it to that level.
You realize he had basically the exact same season in Cincinnati of his normal seasons here. I'm looking at his numbers. He started 14 games for them, 64 tackles, 14 breakups, 2 picks. His 18 and 19 seasons in Dallas started 14 and 16, 71 tackles, 79 tackles, 11 breakups, 14 breakups, 1 pick each year. So he had more picks in Cincinnati. It was 2 instead of 1.
But I think in the playoffs.
I think that actually tells
the postseason. I think he had 2 in the postseason.
But that also tells
He
you
had
my
one in the
point.
postseason.
That also
Super Bowl.
tells you my point.
It was
if
I think it was the Super Bowl.
if you look at how media and fans in Cincinnati talk about him, they think about him as, man, that's a really good cornerback. In Dallas, it was like, man, get this guy out of here. He's a bum. And that's my point. Like, I do think, and there's probably somewhere in between. I'm not saying he's great. I'm certainly not saying he was great. He had a lot of room for improvement. But I also think there's this unfair expectation that cornerbacks have here in Dallas, that fans and media put on them, that there's an It's Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown's not a bad cornerback. But you listen to fans talk, there's a thought that he's not very good, and I just don't think that's actually
because
fair.
what you just said, the fans, they a lot of them don't have the middle ground, and they don't have to because no one's going to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be. Are you really angry? Are you really happy? No.
If you win games, you're happy and you don't care about any of that.
But
stuff.
it's just everything is so black and white all the time. There's an in between. He was a solid player.
Right.
He was a good player. A second round
I
expectations.
don't know if I paid $9 million for him, but he was a solid player. Yeah,
That's the thing. I mean, it's okay. It wasn't a bad pick. They needed corners. They got 2 that year. One of them's still here. The other one priced himself out of being here.
Yeah. Jordan and Cheeto both are the definition of my opinion of decent to good picks. Not great picks, because if they were Jordan did get a second contract, but
wasn't great.
Not great. It was like
if you come back to us, we'll sign
the Cowboys got their price, whereas Cheeto was like, I'm getting a better price than what you're offering me. I feel a tremendous amount of sympathy for cornerbacks in the modern NFL, and I think Cheeto is a very good player.
And I think along those lines, if we're moving on, I think Connor Williams is exactly the same.
Yeah.
He started, he played. He wasn't good enough for them, but he was good enough for the Dolphins to make a lot of money. So kind of the same type of deal.
I think sorry, go ahead.
No,
I just the holding penalties that will color my opinion of Connor. 'Cause his last season was his worst season here, I think.
He's supposed to be the other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got benched. Yeah.
That sucks. But
got his job back.
We had an argument about this in the office this morning where it was like, what dictates the success of a second round pick? What benchmarks? Well, and unfortunately, I haven't had time to do the research. I'm going to do this because fortunately they changed the CBA in 11, and I think that changed the way you look at the draft. I want to know how many second round draft picks over the last decade have signed second contracts with their team. Because I think that's the expectation when you're drafted in the second round. I wonder how often it happens.
Is that cornerstone kind of pieces for your franchise? Is that the idea, or what are you saying?
Just guys that you like enough to bring them back, and we will pay you above market value to come and continue to be part of our team. Because Connor Williams is we talked about him a little bit last week. It's a fascinating case study because he's right on the line of good or disappointing pick. Because on one hand, you're like, he started 4 years for us. He helped us get to the playoffs twice. And on the other hand, you're like, he's a top 50 pick who had his worst season in his last year, and you didn't re-sign. And so you could say either one. You could say he was a pretty good pick or he's a disappointing pick, and I think both sides have a case.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. If teams really evaluate it based upon do they end up in a second contract with the team that drafted them, it doesn't look good for Dallas. I mean, obviously Cheeto, Connor. You can question whether you think Tristan Hill will be back, but he certainly has been injured so much you haven't really gotten a real good feel for what he can do.
The hit rate in the second round in the time that I've been here is pretty bad, honestly.
And let's also factor in a little bit too is that all teams kind of view it differently. And if you want to take it back a little bit more than 5 years, we know the Cowboys have use the second round as a trying to hit home runs.
Yeah.
And they swing for the fences. They're getting the guy that's injured, that it fell a little bit for whatever the reason. They've always done that, and so they took a risk with Jalen Smith. They took a risk with
Tank.
They took a risk with Bruce Carter, who had a torn ACL. Randy Gregory with huge risk.
Questions about Kelvin Joseph. That's why he was in the second round. It wasn't his athleticism that pushed him to the second round.
Exactly. So their philosophy might be a little different than others, which is fine. I mean, but they are trying to hit home runs, and I don't know if you would say that they've that approach hasn't really worked.
It hasn't paid the type of dividends that you would hope.
What
was the risk with Tank? That's why I made that face.
Wasn't he injured? I thought he was injured.
I don't remember that. Not really. Because
I wouldn't
traded up to go get it. Now that was the risk.
I guess it's the risk that you don't have a third round pick. Yeah, but
And when was Lyle picked?
He wasn't drafted. That was just
he
dropped out of the draft. There was thought he would be a
yeah.
first round pick, but he
I forgot he wasn't drafted. I thought he just dropped back too.
But they like to try to get a home run there, and it hasn't happened. I mean, we thought the ball was going over the fence there for Jalen Smith, but it didn't. The wind got it. Swiped it back in.
That is a fantastic analogy of like you just belt that thing to left
That's
center.
Gone. Everyone does that when they go to a game.
Gone.
That's gone, and the left fielder's like.
I think it was
it was to the track because when he made it to the Pro Bowl,
the outfielder had his heels on the warning track, but it just couldn't get that extra like 6 feet.
And then all of a sudden that thing's.
And then
he's not in the league. Is he?
I think he's with the Giants.
He's still the Giants. I didn't think he was gone from the Giants.
I saw something the other day where he posted something, and a lot of the comments were like, "Hope the Giants sign you back." So I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't keep up with him, so I can't really tell you for sure.
I don't either.
What were you about to ask him?
I have a question, and this is kind of difficult, I guess, maybe to answer, but the draft brings me a lot of frustration because we always hear you're drafting for the future and all that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you got to worry about the now and this year and this season and all that. And we've seen, and talking about all the draft picks that they've made and all that, we've seen the kind of guys that they've had a lot of success with. And then now talking about these guys that end up leaving or whatever, where they're a bust or not, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, how do you really look at what the Cowboys have done over the year? And at what point do you say, okay, maybe regardless of the hits that they have had through the draft, is it time to change strategy? Is it time to do something different? Is it time to go into the draft and do what maybe other teams that have been more successful than the Cowboys have been doing in recent years? Or do you focus on the kind of success that they've had with certain guys? At what point do you maybe think it's time to really switch gears and take this a different way?
That's what we've talked about. I don't. Honestly, I don't think they should change their draft philosophy at all. It's working. I think they should change their free agent philosophy and go for more talented play. And I think, and if that means trading a 4th or 5th round pick for a guy that's proven, I think they need to do that route a little bit more often. But what they've done with the draft, I think works. I do. Now, we say second round. I mean, there's some hits and misses there, but
I'll put their track record up against just about anybody.
Taco is the only first-round pick that has not made a Pro Bowl, right? And first-round pick going all the way back to Tyron Smith.
I'm looking.
What was Bobby Carpenter?
06.
Okay. That's way before.
Yeah. I mean, actually,
Mo,
Mo.
right before Tyron Mo.
And that was a tough one. I mean, everyone was pumped about that. I mean, he was a great player, and
I think I've brought this up before. I was covering LSU the year he got drafted, and I'm not trying to sound like the smartest guy in the room, but I was like, oh, he's not Patrick Peterson.
Really?
But again, I can't prove that I felt that way.
That happens sometimes in that sometimes a guy can ride the coattail of a great player, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, but another player that was at their position at their school that they kind of go in behind them, and everybody's
Bobby
like, well, maybe he's that next guy.
Mo was in. Well, forget being the next guy. Mo was in a secondary with Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu and Eric Reed. I mean, those were some loaded defenses.
Wow, I didn't know Eric Reed was in that same secondary. Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So, I think he could have been a much better player if he'd had a better run of luck with injuries.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I never bought the hype that he was worthy of 6 overall. But anyway, not to get derailed.
Yeah, but for the most part, their first round picks have been pretty good. I mean, it'd be pretty high in the Zeke and the Parsons and Tyrann, and then even low in the first round, Byron Jones, Travis Frederick. They other than Taco and Mo.
I don't think there are more than 3 or 4 teams that you could argue are better than them at drafting. I mean, like the Ravens come to mind. It seems like the Ravens always do an incredible job in the draft.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think they should change it up? I mean,
Well, when it comes to the draft, I mean, and we've always looked at like Will McClay and his whole team, the excellent job that they've done. So I'm all up for it. But I would go back to what you said. It's like free agency. It's like something needs to change, and you can't keep saying or waiting for people to lower their prices and be waiting for the scraps, the leftover of what's on free agency. And up to this point, we keep thinking, what are they gonna do with that money? Who are they gonna bring to maybe add some depth in certain positions, especially the O-line, prior to the draft, so that you don't get to the point where you're forced to pick a specific position, but they haven't done that.
Well, you know what's funny is Rob Phillips and I were arguing about this morning. I'll take his point right out of his mouth because I thought it was really good. I was like, well, what you got from Connor Williams is a pretty good pick. It's not like he started 4 years, everything I just said. And Rob was like, yeah, well, when this is your free agent strategy, you need better than that from your top 100. Like,
great point.
Yeah.
You need better production from your big draft picks if you refuse to spend money the other way. And I was like, holy crap, that's a really good point.
That is a good point.
That is a good point.
Especially for the top 100.
Right. And so Will and his guys do a great job. We say it over and over again, and I truly believe that. But I think I said it on the show a week or two ago. Like, you put a tremendous amount of pressure on them when you're like, great job, do it again. We have to have another Micah, or we have to have a guy that's better than Connor Williams if we're going to be better this year. And it's on you to find him. It's not realistic. Because that's the thing. The Cowboys do a great job in the draft. They still miss on a somewhat regular basis because guess what? Everyone does because it's really hard.
Yeah, but here's the tough part, too, that I think has to be factored in. There was a time when Dallas had the strategy of we're going to go spend big in free agency, and they still had the same ultimate results.
We all know, we all agree that that's not what we want them to do.
No, I get it. I'm saying my point is, like, it seems like they have these wild swings. Like, at one point, they were spending big. Like, Nick, you remember when they had like 3 big free agents they signed on the first day of free agency. Like, that was the kind of stuff they were doing.
March 2nd,
Didn't
2005.
Work. Yeah, didn't work. And then you go to the other extreme and you're like, well, we're going to only go for bargain basement type deals. We're not going to really sign big guys. We're going to re-sign our own guys. And that still has the same results. It's almost like you kind of want them to say there is an in-between. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to one extreme or the other. Find one really, really good free agent that can change the complexion of your team and spend on him, and then go to the draft to get the rest of your guys.
Since 2005, that day that we talked about, they signed 3 guys in one day. They did it again, I believe, in like 12 or 13. One of those years they got like Brandon Carr. It might have been 12. They got like
big deal.
They got like big deal all in, like right at the start of free agency. But in that 18 years, 17 years, that's about it. Yeah. Just 2 times they've really just like huge splashes. And think about it. 2005, Anthony Henry, Marco Rivera, and I forgot the other guy. Jason Ferguson.
Yeah.
None of those 3 were that great. And then the next time they really did it, Brandon Carr, I know Kyle Orton was one of them. There was a couple others, and they weren't. I mean, they were like Nate Livings and Vickers. So when they do make big splashes, it hasn't worked out either.
Yeah.
So.
And that's my point. Like, I think they look at it like, well, we tried that. But my thought would be, that doesn't mean you got to go all or none, right? There is an in-between.
Well,
maybe
they did pretty good last year. You know, they kind of bargain hunted, but they did pretty.
But I'm saying, is there one guy out there that is a bona fide, among the best at his position, who you're like, we're going to go out there and we're going to make him a target and we're going to bring him into our team?
Yeah.
And then all the rest of them are going to be bargain basement types. But is that an option, at some point?
Yes, it is. And I think this is the time I'm going to throw out this other point that I think fans forget a lot, and I don't. No one likes it either, but it's like a lot of the fans that are like, "What are they doing with this money? They have all this money." Mm-hmm. Those are the people that maybe get their whole paycheck and spend it all. You know what I mean? Because the part is the Cowboys are saving their money. It rolls into next year. People forget that Dak is making $40 million a year. He's not made $40 million yet. He counted like 20. He's counting like 15. Mm-hmm. So at some point, it's going to really, really hit. And you keep rolling these in, and so that's what they're saving for. These monies are about to go up, and people forget that. They're like, what are they doing with this extra $15 million?
Yeah.
Rolling it into next year because it's going to be worse than this year, you know? So that's something you got to remember.
The writing seems to be on the wall, in my opinion, that they're – I don't want to say they're more focused. I think they have their eye on 2023 and 2024 in terms of, like, this is where the cap jumps and we can do this and that and the other. And that's all well and good. What about 2022? That's my thing. And it's a wonderful point. I don't think fans should have to care about that.
No, they shouldn't.
It's not. DeMarcus Lawrence said it perfectly when he was like, that's not my problem. It's not my problem for like helping you figure out how to get Dak under contract. It's not the fans' problems for you to figure out your books. Mm-hmm. People are still talking about the rant you went on a couple weeks ago because they liked it so much. When?
And it didn't do anything.
No, of course it didn't do anything, but like, and you're 100% right, and they have to worry about all of that, and the 4-year picture is just as important as right now. Fans don't give a damn, and they shouldn't have to.
Here's the question, though. If we're going to take it back to I said push the chips all in.
Yeah.
What do the Cowboys think that they're holding? If we're going to keep the poker reference, do they think they've got?
So you're saying,
pair of aces?
Is it a question of do they think they actually have a team that they can just push off?
That's what I'm saying. Or do they think that? Or do they think that they've got?
Now we're talking.
Or do they?
I think the Cowboys
King
think
10 unsuited.
Yeah, I think
they're like could be good, but
it's not worth pushing it all in.
Maybe
for.
nothing.
Yeah.
I think again, would they say any of this on the record? No, but I think that they're more along the lines of like, all right, like we can win the East this year because it's not very good. But we're not, I'm not good at poker. Like, is a pair of eights really good?
Yeah, I mean,
eights or aces?
Eights. I know enough to know that pair of aces.
You're gonna play.
You're gonna play. All right. Well, then they got less than that. That's what I'm saying. Is like they're like, all right, we could win, but
let's
wait.
I don't buy that even a little bit, just because. And you guys have all been around him too. Jerry is the most optimistic person on the planet. There's no way anybody can convince me that Jerry doesn't go into every year saying, we got a shot. Like, we legitimately got a shot. And I think he honestly believes that.
Except for the year that they actually, when he said it's going to be tough.
Right, that 1 year?
Challenge.
Yeah, that 1 year.
And we went 12-4.
And I think that was more about him kind of hedging his bet publicly.
Yeah.
But privately, I bet he was saying, we got a shot. Like, I think every year he thinks they got a shot.
Jerry also says every year all you got to do is get into the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, 9-8 winning the East gets you into the tournament, and then it's valid to say you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the Niners were a hair away from getting there.
Speaking of, you never know what's going to happen. I know we got to go to break. Just yesterday.
Chris is over there probably losing his mind.
But yesterday is a prime example when we were sitting at our office of you never know what's going to happen, And what an odd pairing that showed up in our office yesterday. Charles Haley.
Oh, yeah.
Quincy Carter.
So random.
Hey.
When did that happen?
I don't know
so
where you
random.
were.
So random. Nick, I'm in my office. I'm on a call, and Nick's like, and I'm looking out like, is that Quincy Carter? Like, just random. Just random out of nowhere.
I mean, we were downstairs shooting something. Okay.
It was in the afternoon. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Had a nice little conversation. He's doing well. Quincy is, yeah.
Yep. It was an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. That's
last time we talked to him, we did a documentary with him, and he was like, "Good job on that," and I was like, "Oh, good. Thank you."
I mean, we're so sure what he thought.
I
about
didn't know
that
what you thought about
documentary,
that.
But
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess he liked it.
Yeah.
All right, we're
I
gonna
was
take.
there.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm standing there, and Nick and I were talking, discussing this Mexico stuff, and then I see this guy walking by trying to get Nick's attention. He's like, psst, psst. I'm like, hey, this guy's calling you. Like, I had no idea who it was.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, this guy's
Quincy
calling
Carter.
you. I don't know who he is, but he's calling you.
Quincy.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to move to the third round, talk about some of these third-round picks, and hopefully get to the fourth round. We'll see if we can get there this week. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, Everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
Essilor Lenses let you see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and find the perfect Essilor lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We did find out some a little bit of sad news over the last week. It's actually been, man, you think about Miss Marilyn, who passed a month or 2 ago?
3 weeks.
3 weeks ago. And then now last week we hear about Rayfield Wright, who passed away on Thursday, I think it was. And then over the weekend we hear about the death of Gary Brown, who was a former running back coach here with the Cowboys. I never really spent a lot of time around Rayfield Wright, so I can't really speak to him. But Gary Brown was a guy that I really enjoyed being around. I tell people all the time how he used to give our team a hard time before games because he would inevitably ask, "Did y'all pick us this week?" And then he would be like, "We're going to kill him. Like, we're going to get him this week." And, of course, if they didn't win, he was not the kind that would run from it. He'd just kind of be like, "Hey, we'll get him next time." Like, he was a good dude. He engaged everybody that was around. His smile was just one that was infectious. You just wanted to be around him. He was a good dude.
Yeah, you appreciate that, and that little exchange that we had for a couple of years there. You appreciate it for a couple of reasons. Number one, he kind of would get on to us if we didn't pick him because he's a coach of the team. Yeah. I mean, that's it. They spent all week doing that. He also understood the business. He understood where our stance on
so it
things
wasn't
were.
personal.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't at all. And so you anytime you get people that I think you're wrong, but I respect what you do. Like that's the perfect type of coach or front office personnel or whatever that they respect what you do, whether or not they agree with it or not. And he was that way. And he's so fun to talk to and always in good mood, consistent. So
that's the thing with Gary was like he engaged with us, which like a lot of coaches and players as well is like. Whether or not they view the media as the enemy, like a lot of them are just like the media is not there. Like they'll look right through you or look right past you. I brought this up the other day, like at training camp, like guys run out, they act like there's no fans in the stands, nobody's doing anything, like just pretend like nobody's there. Gary was the opposite. Like Gary would come out early and like say hi to the fans. He's all like he's joking with Clarence Hill or ribbing people about like, "Oh, you look hungover. Like, what were you out doing last?" Just
that was one time he said that.
Yeah, exactly. He was a lot of fun to be around, and I was really disappointed and sad to hear that.
Yeah.
And for fans who maybe don't know much about him, there was a piece that you guys did that we did a few years back that was highlighting. This was around training camp that it was kind of highlighting the running back group, and you got to see some of him on the personal side and how he invites players for a cookout. He'll invite them with his own family and all that, and just the relationship he has with people. And honestly, this news, it was so unexpected to me. I had no idea what he was going through and dealing with at all. And it was very shocking, and it really hurts when I see people that have that kind of energy, that kind of positivity, the smile, because you think in your head, man, that person can fight through anything. And when someone's so positive like that, it was very heartbreaking for me to see someone so great like him as a person and the energy that he has, and just kind of not be able to finish up battling what he was dealing with.
Yeah. You know, when we're talking about him, the person, which, you know, that's where it starts. As the coach, though, and I mentioned this to you guys, I think, on a text, he was here 7 years. In 7 years, they had 6 1,000-yard rushers. The only one that didn't rush for 1,000 yards was Zeke in 2017 when he was suspended 6 games and still ran for 973. Yep. He had DeMarco Murray's best 2 years was his first 2 with Gary Brown. Darren McFadden comes out of Oakland and goes for 1,100 yards. Zeke had his, great years, and then he goes to Wisconsin dealing with health issues. The guy gets hurt. A freshman comes in with the last 7 games and rushes for 1,200 yards. The guy can coach. He can coach football. He played it. He knows it. He can relate to them.
And also, a pretty damn good player in his own right as well. I'll never. I knew that he went to Penn State. He had a decent Penn State career. He never had a 1,000-yard season in college. He had 2 in the pros. So he had a better pro career than college. And I'll never forget. I think it was the Hail Mary game season finale against the Giants in 2018, which I think would have made Saquon a rookie. And they won on the last play and yada yada. They were going to the playoffs, but we get off the bus and we're going to get on the plane like we always do, and Gary had Saquon's jersey, which I was like, holy. I was like, that's pretty damn cool, man. Yeah. And he knew him from Penn State, and he was a very proud alum, and et cetera. But I just was like, wait, that's really cool.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the Beasley catch?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. We can't just say Hail Mary, and I'm just like, it took me a second. I don't remember
Hail Mary to win. Yeah. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I mean, it was like a desperation throw.
It was. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't Staubach.
No, I know.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to. I just think.
I knew what you're talking about, Dave.
Did you? Because I was racking my brain.
Yes.
About? Yeah. Okay.
50-yard throws to win games.
They don't happen too often.
Yeah. It might have been 32 yards, but whatever.
It was a far throw. All right. Anyway,
but no,
it's cool.
Just wanted to mention and give him some time and some due because he was a really, really good guy. And in this business, as Dave said, you don't always necessarily get those kinds of personalities on the football side. And by the way, a lot of it is just there's a mistrust that I think happens between.
You're a freaky man.
What?
It was a 32-yard pass.
The same thing. I'm like, oh
okay,
my
but
God.
he was behind the line of scrimmage though, and Beasley was in the back of the end zone.
Oh yeah, so he was 9.5 yards into the end zone.
Yeah, so it was like a 40-something yard throw.
All right,
but it was.
But on the record,
32.
For the record,
is God. Nick will forget something he told me this morning.
I texted him in the middle. I texted him at 10:45. I was like, "Were you doing anything?" I was like, "Yeah, on the draft show, ass."
I did that to Broadus yesterday.
I
called Broadus literally while he was on the show, trying to catch up with him. He's like, "I'm doing your show." I'm like, "Oh, my bad. Sorry."
He might have said ass.
He might have mentioned that word.
So,
but Nick knows the score of the Jets game from 1994 or whatever.
Well, they played him in 93.
See? There we go.
And they beat him.
Yeah. I know you got it.
No, I really 27-7.
Beam, you want to get there first or me?
27-7 is the answer. Is it the answer?
That's right. That's not right. Dang it. I'm mad now. Kevin Smith scored a touchdown in that game. Interception for a touchdown off Boomer Esiason. But I don't think.
28-7. Oh, no. You were so.
1 point off.
You were 1 point off.
Make your extra point. Eddie Murray? No, I'm just kidding. It was probably a bunch of field goals.
Jeez. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, I think this time we really are going to talk about the third round. Talk about some of the picks over the last 5 years. When we come right back, this is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
All right, 2022 draft is just around the corner here. Head to the Star in Frisco for the draft party presented by Miller Lite. It's Thursday, April 28th through Saturday, April 30th. It's a 3-day event. Enjoy live draft coverage, entertainment, free youth camp on Friday. The draft day 5K presented by Baylor Scott & White on Saturday morning. For more details, visit DallasCowboys.com/draft.
I actually think we should set a time on that day.
Can't, calf injury.
We got set a time on that day when Dave and Nick and Amber go out to the plaza where the party will be and sign some autographs and take some pictures with fans and just let them know that we'll be out there at that time and you guys go out and spend a little time with the folks.
I'm live streaming from like 10:30 a.m. until 6 p.m.
No, you're not.
On Saturday of the draft?
But oh yeah, on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we meet out there like at 9:30 and you guys do that?
No one in their right mind would be there.
No,
not that early, right?
I don't know.
All right, y'all text me. Y'all tweet me. Let me know. Let me know if you want Nick and Dave and Amber to come out. And
two people are going to tweet Derek, and he's like, "The people have spoken."
You do that all the time. You're like, a lot of people were really mad about that. It's like one person.
No,
it was his mom.
Look, if I get 10 of them, you guys do it. How about that?
Okay.
If I get 10 tweets saying I will show up to spend time with those 3, then you guys do it. Right?
Can't wait.
Check whether these people are located because it could be like North Carolina.
If they're going to come in,
come on.
Let's go. Let's go.
Direct from Raleigh.
They're going to tweet you and not show up.
Yeah, right. All right, let's talk about third round. Dave, give me a quick synopsis of your thought on what is a third round pick? What makes for a successful third round pick?
I have always said I view the top 100 as like those guys need to be significant contributors for you. I think
even in third round?
Yes.
Okay.
Top 100 picks.
All right.
I used to think if you're a top 3 pick, you need to start right away. I've kind of adjusted my thoughts on that a little bit. I think in a lot of cases maybe that's unrealistic, but if you're drafted in the top 100, I expect you to have a pretty clearly defined role right away. Whether
Chaz Green messed it up for you.
It's not just the Cowboys. I think just over the years, because I think that's the third round. I think is really where the draft starts to get wonky in the sense of beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Flavor, but also like fit on your team.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extreme example, but like if you desperately need a punter and there's a good punter, like one team could screw that whole thing up for everybody. Yeah. Or maybe you need a specific role player for your scheme that you're like, really? You're drafting that guy in the third? And it's like, well, I'm not asking him to do all of this right away. I just need him to do this one thing. So I think there's potential for things to kind of get sideways there. But even having said that, I mean, where are you talking last 5 years? Is that?
Yeah. So here are the guys. You got Oso Digizua last year with Chauncey Golston. Both were selected at 75 and 84. And Nashawn Wright at 99. You had Neville Gallimore at 82. You had Connor McGovern at 90. Michael Gallup at 81. And Jordan Lewis at 92. Those have been the third-round picks of the last 5 years.
That's largely pretty good.
It's pretty good. Not bad at all.
Jordan, again, picked 8 spots outside the top 100. He's still here. His arrow continues to go up because he was hurt as a rookie. He got time here and there. And then in Chris Richard and Rod Marinelli's scheme, like they didn't favor him. Like they didn't give him a lot of opportunities. He decided to stay. It paid off. I think last year was his best year as a Cowboy.
Hey, I credit them also. They usually do this in the second round. It's been a long time, but if you remember, Jordan Lewis had some off-the-field concerns that a lot of teams decided not to even take him off the board. And they did their homework on him, talked to him. They were very confident that whatever accusations were against him were going to be dropped, and they were false. And they were right. I mean, he's one of our favorite people to talk to. And
you never want to – I've learned this lesson the hard way in a few instances. Like, you don't want to speak too firmly about anybody because at the end of the day, we only see a sliver of these people. But, like, the thought that Jordan – was a quote-unquote character concern coming into the NFL is almost unbelievable to me from what we've learned about him over the years. I think of him as one of the highest character guys on this entire team.
But that was just one of those that they took a little bit of a risk because they thought they were getting good value there, and it has been. Michael Gallup too.
Gallup is a freaking home run.
Yeah, that's probably your best third-round pick of the last 5 years, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
One of the best third-round picks in recent memory, really. I'm like Terrence Williams, J.J. Wilcox, DeMarco was really good.
And I was just asked this question before the show about is there a theme for third-round picks? I mean, have the Cowboys had some really good ones? And because it was our social media team, I gave them 4 names over the years. And DeMarco Murray probably would have been the 5th one. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's very hit or miss. I mean, you got some bad ones in there, but not all Jason Witten. In fact, every 5 bad ones you can find a really good one.
Which the unsaid thing is that at this point in his career, Connor McGovern that's a bummer. And maybe it's unrealistic to expect a guy picked 90th to start right away, but
yeah.
He's started 14 games in 3 years. He missed his rookie season due to a pec injury. He was benched when he did get his opportunity last year. It didn't work out well enough that they wanted to keep going with it. And then on top of that, we know that they had him much higher graded. Like they picked him knowing they didn't really need a guard because that's how much they liked him. And that's kind of the stain right now because, I mean, you feel pretty good about where Neville is at this point in his career. And then Osa and Chauncey both were, again, like they had defined roles. Like Osa was a rotational guy. Chauncey made plays on special teams and did something. It's fun. Both of them were amazing in like September and October, and they were very classic,
typical
like
rookie,
very like
wall.
rookie
Yeah.
wall. I did a write up on Osa right after the season. And I was like, 75% of your TFLs came in the first like 6 weeks of the season, and you can sort of see it nosedive after that. But you still feel good about what they were on the field contributing.
Let's be fair about it, though. Neville Gallimore didn't play early in the year, and neither did Tristan Hill. And then they both kind of came back into the mix and played and all that. But
Speaking of, what's going on with Tristan Hill?
Dave,
he's
I don't know.
He's entering a contract year and probably
needs
needs
year.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, this is the time when he's got to kind of step up there.
He's tough to
Tony Pollard is really the only thing holding that 2019 class together, which is it's hard because they didn't have a first round pick.
You said that for years. It's weird. What? It's weird. When you don't have a first round pick, for some reason your second and your third and fourth round suck too.
Well, it's just that you put so much pressure on that pick to be right. Usually, looking at the history of the Cowboys, you just mentioned it earlier. They win in the first round. So it makes everything, it colors the rest of the draft, where if you win in the first round and second's kind of wonky, but third is pretty decent, then you kind of feel better about it. Let's assume you don't have a first-round pick, and now second's kind of wonky, and third you feel pretty good about. That gives you a bad feeling about the overall draft.
The
right?
worst drafts ever in Cowboys history are when they don't have a first round.
Yeah.
Which
they don't even steal a third or fourth. Jason Witten's not coming out of that. He's coming out of the one with Terrence Newman in the first round.
Yeah.
The production that they were getting from Amari made it worth it, in my opinion.
True.
That's
what I was
not my fault that they decided
but they
to
did
move
have
on.
a first round that had already experience. It was a veteran.
And that they'll definitely re-sign.
I mean, if you look at it
keep.
if you look at it and say like, well, Amari's still doing his thing, getting 1,000-yard seasons. We found Tony in the fourth, and Donovan Wilson's still kicking around. And I mean, Tristan and McGovern are still on the team at least. Like they aren't so bad that you had to cut them. Yeah. If Amari's on the team, you're like, yeah, I can live with that. But now that Amari's gone, you're like, man, that looks like crap.
Yeah. If you guys look at the draft picks from this last year in the third round, they had three of them: Osa and Chauncey and Nashawn Wright. Talking about Osa and Chauncey first, which one do you think, based on what you saw, you're more excited about what they can become?
Chauncey.
Really?
Because I think Osa.
Because I think Osa too. But go ahead. Why?
That's why I wanted to say it first. Because I think he's got this position flex that's intriguing. And if they wouldn't have re-signed Dorrance Armstrong, I think that Golston could have been that guy. Mm-hmm. I just like the fact that he missed all of camp. He came in and he was pretty productive based off of a guy that really didn't have any preseason games or anything like that.
He was a rookie.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if he all off season, get some good training camp, get some good coaching preseason games. I think he has a chance to kind of make that second year leap as big as anybody else on the team.
So this is what I pulled up his game logs. This is what I was talking about. Yeah, from week 2 to week. We'll say week 5, he tallied 8 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss, and both of his 2 sacks in that 3 or 4 week stretch. Now,
that's pretty good for a defensive tackle.
It's very good for a rookie defensive tackle. Yeah. Now, they were playing pretty bad teams. I mean, Carolina and New York are in there, Philly's in there. But he had 2 hits on Justin Herbert in the win against the Chargers, and again, he's a rookie drafted in the third round. Like, I don't expect you to do that week in, week out. But if you can do that, and I mean, it fell off a cliff after that. Like, he had the rest of the year after the games I just listed off, he had 3 quarterback hits the rest of the way.
Do you happen to have his the number of snaps he had in those games, those 2 to 5? Kind of going to Nick's point of kind of. His play time may have declined.
It didn't fall off as crazy as you want to think. Where he was, it hovered around 60 during that stretch, and it did get into the 40s later on in the season. But he still, he played 63% against Denver. He played 56% against New Orleans, 53 against Arizona. So
he's still getting plenty of time.
It dipped, but not by this crazy number.
Yeah.
But if he can do that on a consistent basis, that could be very impressive production.
Now, moving on to the other third-round pick from last year, Nashawn Wright, did you expect more from him than what you saw?
No.
No,
I think he looked exactly like what he was billed as, which is like a developmental guy whose rare traits, a.k.a. being that long while still being pretty athletic.
Y'all were shocked, right?
We were.
That he was drafted there.
Maybe the most shocked I've ever been.
Okay, so
really,
so,
wow,
yes.
So here we are. Fast forward a year.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like you said, I take time to develop, but y'all look more correct about where he was than the Cowboys did.
Right now. Which really, let's not say y'all, because that's the funny thing. And he's not always right. He'll be the first person to tell you that. But Dane Brugler is so incredible at his job. Like, he watches so many prospects. He's got an idea of all of these players. And when they called his name, the first thing the rest of us did was open Dane's book like, who the hell is this guy? Dane, what do you got for us? Do you know anything? And Dane's like, I think all the color went out of Dane's face. He was like, I have a 7th-round grade on him. And we were all just like, okay, guess we need to learn about Nashawn Wright during this commercial break.
Yeah.
And so but we had a whole conversation about it after that day. Is like, the pick is immediately colored by what the analysts know, because that's what you can go on, right? So people are like, well, Dane thinks he's a 7th round pick. This is a terrible pick. And Dane will be the first one to say, that doesn't mean I'm right. Yeah. We got to see how this thing plays out.
And he does the grade for 32 teams. He says this is what this player would be for most of the teams. But he's not Dan Quinn. And Dan Quinn has a vision of what his guy is. And there could be other team that had a 7th round pick.
But having said that, coaches can be just as wrong, because Rod Marinelli is the reason why Tristan Hill is here and why Taco Charlton got drafted, probably.
And what was the safety that Kansas City took instead of taking Tristan Hill? There was like
Juan Thornhill.
Juan Thornhill, who's been a pretty good player.
So I mean, he played 13 games. He started the BS game against Philly at the end of the year. He did make some nice contributions on special teams.
Nashawn, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he was one of the 24.
Yeah, forgot about that.
But
22.
It wasn't 24.
I think 22.
I look at it as a red shirt year for a guy that needed some seasoning. But I'm curious to see what it looks like in year 2. That's for sure.
Yeah. And here's what's interesting: if he has a really good offseason, I don't like saying this because the guy could be here all year, but something's got to happen here with the cornerback position. And so, Anthony Brown with his $5 million price tag. You get to the end of the season and end of training camp and all that. If Joseph and Nashawn Wright have made these leaps and all that, it could happen where they maybe make a trade or something like that. Because
that's what you hope for.
That's what you hope for, because we talk about progress stoppers all the time, and they don't want to have anyone that's going to be, if it's the same, and they're definitely not making the same. You want to get these guys on the field, but
they would. They talk so much about saving money against the cap. It would be their dream to be able to shed some of that veteran salary.
And I talk out of this side of my mouth, and I think you start cutting your depth at cornerback, and then you end up signing the Rashard Robinson from at the end of the season, and the Chris Westries, who's still in the league playing well, but you sign these
starting. I've seen him play.
Yeah, but you sign these guys
for Baltimore because they had no one else.
Yeah. So cutting depth at cornerback is kind of tricky.
Yeah, that's one position where I'm like, I can't have enough.
Yeah,
keep
you're
them,
right about that.
Keep them. I want to keep those guys here.
All right, screw that. Don't make that trade. But because he'll get on the field. Nashawn Wright will get on the field.
I think you could, if Kelvin and or Wright was good enough, you could deal one of those vets. I don't think it would be smart to get rid of both of them.
And Kelvin Joseph and Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown. That's 1, 2, 3 on the roster right there. They all changed numbers.
Yeah, I know.
1, 2, 3.
What are all the numbers that are changed? I know.
Oh, we have time for this.
You want to throw that out there?
No.
Those are the significant ones.
Kelvin Joseph is 1. Jordan Lewis is 2. Anthony Brown is 3. Dak is still 4.
Dak's still 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Golston, 99.
Chauncey Golston's 99 now.
But that 99.
Like 99.
Fowler's going to wear 56, which he's worn for most of his career.
James Washington, 83.
I believe so.
83.
It's going to be 80. Okay.
Yeah. And McQuamu went to 24.
Yeah, but from what I hear, it might not last very long.
Hooker, yeah.
Yeah, Hooker might want it. It's going to change again. I feel so.
Tell them about the new receiver though that they draft.
There's only there's one number available for wide receiver right now, and it's
9.
number 9. But see, they'll make TJ Vasher move or something if they want to. I love the new number rule because it's fun and guys get to wear what they want to wear, but I feel sorry for Mike McCord.
Your equipment manager does not like it.
No. Bucky
Well,
Buchanan.
freaking Jordan Lewis, how many times is he going to change numbers? He's like, is it 3 times already?
I was kind of surprised by that because I believe 26 was his college number, so it's weird to see a guy get out of his college number and into something new. But
the single digits do look cooler.
They do.
You got to admit, than 26. It's a cooler looking number.
I'd keep a couple open though, just for the draft.
Yeah.
But
you never know.
Before this rule, the equipment guys really only had to worry about this around draft time. It's like, okay, we drafted this guy, we got to rearrange this. Now from February to June, it's like, hey, Mike, how do I get this? It's like, oh my God, dude, leave me alone. I got enough stuff going on.
Poor Mike. All right, we appreciate you guys, Jonas. We'll be back next week. At least these 3 guys will be back. They'll, I'm sure, be getting you guys ready for draft. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!